한번 보고 가도록 하겠습니다.
Okay, alright. Whoops. Apparently we're late today.
몬테크리스토 맵 한번 소개하도록 하겠습니다.
So, that's my bad. I didn't expect to be late today.
자, 몬테크리스토 어떤 맵입니까?
이 맵은 2인용 맵이고 이제 시청 스타 팬분들이 많이 기억하는 경기는 아마 이용호 선수랑 김태경 선수가 했던 그 경기가 아닐까 싶은데
이용호랑 김태경.
Did I just like completely screw up my time zone?
길이 막혀 있거든요.
그렇죠.
그리고 언덕 같은 것도 많고 그래서 이제 어떤 전략적인 상황도 많이 나오고 그래서 다양한 경기 양상이 많이 나오는 재밌는 맵입니다.
그리고 이제 앞마당에 또 미네랄이 8덩이라 가지고 굉장히 또 물량전, 뭐 업테란, 뭐 캐리어, 아비터는 고급 유닛을 충분히 볼 수 있는 맵이기 때문에
네네.
한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 일단 상대팀 엔트리 나왔고요. 윤찬이를 맞이해서 팀 도적에서는 허영무 선수가
2100. Okay, so I think only the first game's been played.
허영무 선수가 나왔고요.
First one it was best versus Mong.
허영무 선수 입장에서는 좀 부담될 수가 있습니다. 왜냐면 아까 전에
Catch me up. What's going on in the chat, please? Apparently I'm just really bad at time zone math, so I completely screwed this up. Sorry about that, guys. But I'll be getting there just a second. Getting everything set up. Whew.
자, 추천 즐겨찾기 한 번씩 눌러주시고요.
I'm sitting here comfortably sipping my coffee, not a care in the world, and turns out there's a tournament going on, so
두 번째 경기 바로 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
well, we're good. We're good. Yeah, I've put my stream up for the event. Good job. Thank you, Piano. Second to refresh this.
자, 경기 시작합니다.
Okay. All right, we are going into Monte Cristo. That's going to be game 2. This is going to be Mong versus Jongbi. Jongbi just getting back from the army recently, so still probably a little rusty, but if we all remember back in 2011, 2012, Jongbi is the man. Looking forward to seeing Jongbi come back. Hopefully he reaches that same peak of former glory that he had right before he left for his military service. By the way, you guys, I apologize if I'm super sleepy this morning. I did not sleep last night, so I'm drinking a bunch of coffee. Hopefully I'll wake up and get excited about this game. So in the bottom right, the red Protoss, that is going to be Jongbi. In the top left, the yellow Terran, that is going to be Mong, the Mong Master. I didn't happen to catch what happened in game 1. If chat could catch me up, it was Mong versus Best. I know Mong has a pretty good TVP, and Best honestly has one of the better PVTs as well, so I would think that's a pretty even matchup. But I didn't see the first game, so I couldn't tell you. All right. So pretty standard openings coming out from both players. Not gonna see any sort of proxies or anything super cheesy coming out. I'm a bit surprised this gateway feels a little late. It looks like it's gonna be a Nexus first coming out from Jongbi. Jongbi coming back with some pro plays to start things off. So Nexus first, pretty ballsy honestly. But it plays really well into Terran players who typically go for a gasless fast expand because they can't really put on any pressure. Or even a standard gas expand is not actually going to be very strong against this opening. You can still apply a little bit of pressure with the first tank or two, but it's still pretty. Nexus first it's risky, but it's not as risky as it might seem.
그 허영무는
definitely not as risky as it is in some other matchups.
바로 원서치를 그냥 가버리면서 2인용이니까.
So it really just depends on if Mong gets the timing of a push down with his first couple siege tanks, or if he's going to just sit back and play it a little bit more standard, wait till the mid game. But Nexus first, it does a really nice, it gives Zhangbi a really nice economic advantage that will give him any timing pushes in the mid game stronger for him as well. Sorry guys, I can't English right now. I just can't. You might as well be watching the Russian stream. Oh god. So 2 gateways, pretty expected to be coming out of this after the Nexus first. If you try to go Nexus first and get away with only 1 gateway versus gas expand, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But looks like Mong isn't going to push too hard. He lifts up the barracks. He's only going to make 1 Marine. And that probably means he's just going to be going for a little bit of a faster expansion by saving those minerals here and there. Meanwhile, Zhangbi's kind of forced to make somewhere between 3 to 5 Dragoons to defend his base. I can turn up the volume. Let me go ahead and turn up the volume. There we go. My voice is a little bit louder. I have to keep the actual sound a little bit lower just because then I'll be shouting over the Koreans, and that can be a little bit difficult at times. So first vulture is coming in. It's gonna scout what's going on. Cute little block with that zealot, but not gonna be enough to ward away the vulture totally. It looks like maybe 2, only maybe 1 or 2 probes went down there, so pretty nice so far. Zhangbi with a good defense. He's going to be having... Zhangbi has a really good timing in the mid game now that he has that earlier advantage, and it basically allows him to, if he wants to set up something like a Bulldog Rush with Shuttle with Zealots, or if he wants to even go crazy and just take an early third, he can do that because he has such a strong economic lead in this early game. And a little bit weird to just open up with the spider mines instead of any tanks for Mong. It's kind of a little bit unorthodox, but oh wow, actually one of these, cool, I think it'll be alright. Oh, good surround by those probes that actually stops them for Quad Isle, but it is going to get into the base, and that's going to be super annoying to clean up. I don't know if it still has mines. It should have a couple more mines. It's just going to require perfect micro from both players in order to actually get the maximum value out of this. But good micro from Mong so far, picking off a lot of those probes and kind of evening out that economic advantage. So I apologize for criticizing his choice to go vultures. He's had like, what, 2 or 3 vultures come in here and harass, and they've all done pretty decent damage so far. Single vulture is super scary.
테란도 41. 일단 이곳은 똑같아요. 하지만 앞마당에서 자원 차이가 최소 미네랄 하나씩 110 정도 납니다.
So now we're just waiting for what the follow-up choices are going to be. Looks like we're not going to have that Bisu-esque Reaver drops in the third. Bisu loves to go Reaver drops and make as little units as possible while taking a third, but looks like Zhangbi's going to take a little bit more of the classic approach where you just get up to 4 or 5 gateways, pump out a couple of units so that you have map control. Get a control group of Dragoons out on the map to just control the middle of the map, and I take that back. Now he is going to be going for that support base, so we are going to see some Reaver jobs, but this is a very early third Nexus, so that's why I was a little bit surprised. There's my alarm telling me to wake up. So we are going to see the Reaver drops. The Reaver drops don't necessarily have to do a lot of damage. I casted a game between Bisu and maybe it was Flash a couple of weeks ago on stream, and Bisu was he didn't really have to do a lot. All he had to do was have the Reavers in his opponent's base, and that just forces the Terran player to have at least a tank in his main and his natural sieged up, and the rest of his units just gonna have to follow the shuttle around. It's really annoying, but it's a really cost-efficient way to keep the Terran pinned back without actually having to do much. So, looking forward to this. He should pick up 2 Zealots to go with it. This is the standard way to do this. And Zhongbi's macro is actually really good. For someone who has been away for such a long time, looks like his macro is really on point. He's done a really good job of getting up to these 3 bases and getting a really healthy probe count while still getting all of his tech up, so pretty nice. But it looks like Mong knows this is coming, so he's going to be in position to deal with it. It's not a huge deal. It's not like if you're not prepared, then like you automatically lose. Well, you might, but if you're prepared, that doesn't mean that the Protoss player automatically loses, rather. But really nice to have a couple of Goliaths out already in double armory, so that tells me that Mong is going to be playing this game super late. He's going to be going for the +2/+2 and just slowly turtling out to that 3rd base, trying to take as little damage as possible. Good play so far from no big hits there on the Reaver. Sorry guys, a little bit anticlimactic. Just getting a little bit of damage in there, but like I said, the main thing is you force your opponent to stay back. Almost all of Mong's forces are in his main right now, just trying to make sure there's not a shuttle going into his mineral line. So it's really nice. Another scan comes in to check out the tech coming out, and it is going to be the Templar Archives. We're probably going to see the Arbiter Tribune come up pretty soon as well.
근데 이거 진짜 키포인트가 저기 삼룡이 멀티 먹을 때 같거든요. 제가 봤을 때는.
Lots of factories coming out, and it's not really Mong's production isn't really going to pick up until he really gets to that 3rd base. But in the meantime, 5 factories is plenty to push out right now. And Zhongbi's going to have to start investing in army pretty soon, because once the tank count gets high enough, Mong can just walk across the map. And the 4th is going down right now. This is definitely a boon for Zhongbi, setting up that high ground area in the top right so that he can use that as a second point of defense, second base, if you will. Put his production there and try to push back. But as soon as the army moves out to the 3rd, double Reaver drops come into the main, and they're not going to get a whole lot, but they're going to at least stop this and force a response. So this is very annoying to actually deal with. I'm not sure that it will be game-breaking at all, but really nice that he dropped those 2 Zealots on top of the turret to take it out, so he has a retreat path. It's a really heads-up play by Zhongbi. Oh! That was nice! Kills off 3 supply depots. That is going to slow down the mech army a lot. That is a huge deal for Zhongbi right now. So that gives him plenty of time to actually go through 1 or 2 more macro cycles and get a huge ground army out. And Zhongbi just took a pretty huge lead by sniping all of those supply depots. A couple of vultures coming out right now. They're going to try to do a little bit of harassment. Cannons are already up at the 3rd base, and a really nice wall off, so they might be able to snipe a couple of these probes behind the wall, but with smart play, it's really not going to be much of a problem. The Dragoons come up here to deal with it, and this is going to get cleaned up pretty easily. It's not really a big deal. A lot more probes than I expected actually go down, but honestly it doesn't matter. When you have 4 Nexuses up, you have tons of army coming out right now, so Zhongbi in a great position moving forward right now. I'm using the word right now way too much, guys. It's too early. Let me take one more sip of coffee. I'm gonna put my face up on top of Ginyu and Gunshi, maybe. Anyhow, Stargate coming up right now. The Arbiters are a little bit late, so that might just be the side effect of going for this double Reaver drop, but This is another big drop coming into the main right now. He is going to lose one of them. It is the one with all the zealots in it, though, so it's not a big deal. Oh, the SCVs haven't been pulled. The SCVs were not pulled. Okay. Whew. All right, he sinks the tank instead. Oh! Lots of SCVs going down in the main. Doesn't get the second money shot, unfortunately, but those 13 kill Reaver, that's pretty nice. Oh, is he going to get that as well? Oh! Oh, okay, not quite. But still, a very effective drop coming out right now, and you can see the effect. Look at this mech army. This is a ridiculously small mech army. There's no tanks in it. There's almost no vultures. It's such a small army, and honestly, if with a good concave, Jong could actually just overrun this army right now. But Jong gonna pull back. He's gonna play a little bit safer right now. Not gonna go for the throat. But this is really nice for Jongbi. Jongbi definitely looks like he's gonna be taking this game. A couple more tanks join this force, and it's starting off a little bit more formidable, but with the next round of reinforcements, I don't see why Jongbi wouldn't be able to hold this. All he needs to do is get a really good arc and just make sure his zealots stay in front, and he'll be in good shape. I would actually bring a couple of units around the high ground, or around the low ground to the backside so you can get a flank, but Jongbi, he's kind of retreating, and I don't know if I agree with this. He's kind of giving up a lot of position here, and he might get that third base snipe if he's not really careful. He's trying to go for the carriers, actually. This isn't arbiters, this is going to be a carrier play, but the mech army is at his doorstep. He doesn't really have time to make carriers. He's going to try to go for a counterattack here, which is nice, but I'm not sure about this. Really nice storms, though. Getting a lot of chip damage on that mech army, so that's pretty nice. But that base is going to be going down. It looks like they're going to be trading thirds right now. Actually, the choke there is really big, and there were not a lot of zealots brought along with those dragoons. They're going to get cleaned up by the defensive tanks, and these zealots over here are not going to be able to get much done walking through some siege tanks over here. So Jongbi kind of throwing his lead away. His gateway army is really tiny, and he's honestly lost a lot more than he should have. Luckily, he was able to keep his third from going down by threatening that backdoor, but all Mong has to do is walk back and set up again. He's got the spider mines already in position. There's no Protoss army threatening him, and there's still another 2 or 3 minutes before these carriers actually get up to a scary point. Jongbi actually taking the 6 o'clock expansion as well, and looks like he's just going to try to expand the opposite way, but he's going to lose a lot of probes in the process. I'm not sure if I agree with this. Again, threatening the back door, but it's not going to work, and right now, Jongbi's forces have been cut off from that 4th base as well. All it takes is just a small dedicated move up there with a couple of tanks and vultures. That's easy peasy cleanup. So yeah, as TT1 points out, mech is pretty imba. But yeah, just very strange that Jongbi decided to not try to go for a good arc against that Protoss army, that he decided to go for the late carrier rush. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. When you're up ahead in economy like that, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go carriers unless you're so far ahead and the Terran army has 0 tanks. The Terran army was a little bit smaller, but still, that's not a situation where you want to go into the carriers. It was a very risky idea from Jongbi. He's stabilized for now, which is bought him enough time to build up these carriers, so really lucky play from him right now that Mong is just kind of pulling back and letting off the pressure. Honestly, I think Mong failed to actually pull the trigger there and kill off the 3rd and the 4th bases. If he had done that, he would have just straight up won the game right now, but as it is, the game is actually kind of back to even again. There are a lot of tanks in this army and not a lot of Goliaths so far, so There is a possibility that when this mech army moves across the map, it just gets sniped by a bunch of carriers, but still, we haven't really seen what Mong wants to do right now. It looks like he's just turtling really, really hard. It's honestly kind of confusing, and this is where I honestly would have preferred to have arbiters over the carriers, but we'll have to see. That was a bad storm. We'll put it bluntly, that was a bad storm. But Jongbi is doing a really good job of forcing his opponent to siege and unsiege over and over again. And it looks like the carriers are almost ready to go. As soon as the carriers are ready to go, he's going to reveal them and probably kill off a lot of these tanks as they're trying to retreat. The real problem is, though, he has to make sure that he does it in such a way that he can kill off most of this army before it gets to his bases. But a lot of Goliaths being added on in the very end. And this is actually a little bit scary just because I don't think these carriers can actually do a lot. They don't have enough interceptors. There's not really the critical mass needed to deal with this mini Goliath. And Mong continuing to move forward. 2 High Templars just go down for free. And the carrier goes down for free as well. And Mong is just pushing through. Mong doing a really, really good job of just having all of the right units at the right time, having the right responses. And there's no zealots anywhere to deal with these Goliaths. So strange. Moving in right now for a counterattack with a control group of Dragoons. That's not going to do anything. That's going to get pushed back by just pure Goliath. And the natural is being sieged up right now. The third base is going to go down shortly. And Jongbi is in a lot of trouble right now. He can't keep up with the upgrades. His carriers, which were his big trump card, just aren't... They're not scary enough at this point in the game. So it's just... What do you do from here? You just hope for that all the Goliaths are out of position, go for a Hail Mary. He's going to try to go for a carrier zealot attack right now, but he's going to run through a choke right here, which is not very pretty. And there are no more interceptors left. He killed off like 2 or 3 Goliaths in that exchange for a bunch of gateway units and interceptors. I'm not sure that was so good. He's going to try to hold the high ground with a couple of Dragoons here, but this is not going to last very long. It's a pretty wimpy defense. Eventually able to clean up this army that's out in his out in front of his natural, but Mong is he's so confident he's actually taking the forward base right now. All he has to do is continue to rally down to that natural. That's the GG for sure. But Jongbi is still staying in the game. He wants to continue to stand up for his team, prevent Mong's reign of terror. But this is looking pretty brutal so far. Team Mong starting off really, really strong in this series. Jongbi is probably staying in the game just because he still has that 6 o'clock base. And he feels like he can probably maybe wait until he has a critical mass of carriers, but at this point in the game, you just have to... You need the luckiest storms ever in order to actually even pull even. I don't see this actually coming out for Jongbi, but he's going to continue to try. He really does believe in it. Attacking the Nexus there, that's just so he can get the interceptors out and quick release them. But Mong just doing his due diligence. He's cleaning up the middle of the map so he has even more routes to get through. It's going to make it much easier, but the carriers are actually attacking in this bottom base. Enough Goliaths and missile turrets here are going to be able to push this away for now. So at this point in the game, Mong, he has complete control of the map. What do you do?
근데 진짜 토스의 그 페이스였는데 자기 그냥 운영만으로
이건 진짜 운영만으로 이긴 거거든요.
One High Templar goes down to some tanks. I mean, if Mong just doesn't do anything and lets Jongbi take the top 2 expansions and get 24 carriers, maybe, maybe the game's not over. But
본인의 전략 전술만으로도 지금 이렇게 이기고 있는 몽군이거든요.
이거는 토스가 겹쳐야 되는 그림인데 미니맵.
He's gonna try to go for a carrier counterattack in the main, but there's a big mech army walking over to his third right now, and the carriers are the only thing that allow him to actually deal with this army. And actually, a pincer movement coming in from behind. This flank is beautiful by Mong. Zhongbi's forces going down, surrounded on all sides. Just completely lost. He's gonna continue trying to micro these carriers in the main, but actually loses one carrier for free. He's gonna, I guess that he's just practicing like a micro map, but loses another carrier for free. I'm not sure what Zhongbi is expecting right now. I guess maybe he's just practicing his carrier micro at this point. Yeah, it seems like fantasy may have taken over Zhongbi's computer right now. Another carrier goes down. Look at that nice split. Did you see that split? So we're just gonna continue to watch Zhongbi try to micro these carriers a little bit, but the game is very, very over. I don't know why Mong didn't just walk into the natural. While this was going on, Mong did clean up the 6 o'clock base, so there's absolutely no mining for Zhongbi. At this point, Zhongbi has literally nothing, and eventually he's gonna run out of minerals for these interceptors. There's the GG. Mong going up 2-0 in this series. Looking pretty strong. Well, it's really unfortunate that Zhongbi lost that, because I think honestly the opening went, the early mid game definitely went in Zhongbi's defense, or Zhongbi's favor. Sorry, I read the word defense at the same time. But the early mid game was definitely in Zhongbi's favor, but just a critical mistake of not squashing that mech army when he had the chance allowed Mong to get up that critical mass of tanks with 2-2, and after that it was impossible to really deal with it, because at that point you let the Terran have 3 bases, you let them get maxed on mech with upgrades, and it's just you can't deal with that, especially on such a tight map like that. The carriers were a good idea, but the carriers needed to come out way sooner. They needed to come out on like 2.5 bases if you really wanted to go for the carriers. Otherwise, at that point, you might as well just play into your economic advantage. Go for the arbiters, go for the mass gateway style, and just take really good middle map engagements. There's definitely ways that you can do that. Like I said, you could probably, when Mong was pushing into that 3rd base, you can definitely take a small group of Zealots and Dragoons and kind of wrap around that high ground ridge over there and get a flank on the mech army, and that just allows you to get a really nice concave on the mech army and deal with those tanks nicely. But Zhongbi just, he didn't have the units, he didn't have the positioning, and just kind of gave up that 3rd base and gave up his economic advantage.
세 번째 주자 벌써 나왔습니다. 네오 아즈텍, 매부 네오 아즈텍인데 요즘 이 선수 별명이 하나 있거든요. 뭔지 아십니까?
뭡니까 별명?
푸항이라는 별명입니다. 자, 도제욱 팀에서는 더 이상 물러날 수 없는 상황에서 푸항 정윤종이 나왔습니다. 경기.
Let me set up my
준비가 되면 바로 시작하도록
face cam so you can see my face on top of the game.
개인적으로 제일 기대가.
그렇죠.
물이 오를 대로 오른.
Actually, there's a better way to
배가
do this.
불러버린 몽군이랑
지금 기세가 장난 아니거든요.
Maybe
요즘
there's a.
푸항이라고 불리는 저항이.
I apologize in advance. My face is going to be gigantic for a second.
자, 길게 끌지 맙시다. 끌수록
Okay, never mind. I did it right.
깨진 거 못 보고 욕먹으니까 바로 오프닝과 함께 바로 가도록 하겠습니다. 추천 즐겨찾기 한 번씩 눌러주시고요.
Let's go.
You guys ready for my face?
아, 옵저가 왜 이렇게 안 되냐.
I'm trying to get off this.
자, 현재
Alright, let me get that.
앞서고 있는
there.
가운데
Alright, welcome
몽군
back to
2승,
GTB.
2대0 앞서고 있는 가운데
We
세
are
번째
now
경기
going into the
시작합니다.
third
네오
game.
아즈텍이고요.
It's going to be
잠시만,
on
세팅 좀
Neo
하도록
Aztec.
몽군이
Mong
8시
versus
지역에 위치해 있고요. 그리고
Henya, which is
선수가 4시.
업적을 잠시만 드리겠습니다. 제가 조현준 선수 사진을
Hengya.
따로
Yeah, that is going to be Rain. Okay. I'm just looking everything up on the fish server.
아즈텍 맵 같은 경우에는
Wikipedia.
프로토스가 유리하다고
So
많이들 알고 계시는데
that's how I'm figuring out who's who, because I don't know everybody's actual Korean name all that well.
지금 경기력이 굉장히
Otherwise, I'd just
좋은
read that.
두 선수 간의 대결이기 때문에
Anyways,
어떤 양상의
so we're gonna be on Neo Aztec. In the right, in the red,
옛날에
it is
옛날
Rain.
스타일 같은 경우에는
RRR.
이 맵에서 명경기가 굉장히
And on the left side of the map, in the 8 o'clock position, it is going to be Mong 2-0 up in the series, going for the 3-0, maybe even the all kill.
이용호 대
See if Mong is the next light.
기억하실 겁니다. 결승이었는지는 정확히 기억 안 나는데 아무튼 엄청난 명경기가 하나 있었거든요.
That's right, I have to remember that my face is on the cast now, so I have to pay attention to what's going on in my face. But I'm drinking coffee, by the way.
불리한 상황에서 운영으로
Alright.
잡았습니다. 자,
So,
현재 토스 중에서 기세가 제일
another TVP for Mong. And so far, Mong has done pretty well in all the TVPs. In fact, I think is
딱 봐도 대략
team best all
전략 한번
Protoss?
했고
I think
불리하게
they are, aren't they?
시작했으니까 이번에 내가 한번
Correct me if I'm wrong.
가져가겠다.
아 근데 이게 이 빌드를
Rain is a really good player right now. I think he's one of the better Protoss players, but I mean, we did just watch Best get wrecked and Zhongbi get wrecked, both great PvT players, so the bar is set pretty high for Rain, but also pretty low because he's got to fail fantastically. So I did have a beard last week. I just shaved it off. So maybe you're thinking of my beard. Maybe not. Anyhow, scouting coming out right now. I'm going up to the top side instead. If I'm not mistaken, this is a 3-player map. So, he is going to be scouting his opponent last, which isn't a huge deal. 3-player maps, if you scout your opponent last, it's not a huge deal. You don't lose too much time comparatively. But definitely the biggest part of this map is the fact that you have these low ground mains. It makes it really difficult if your opponent can get any sort of a siege up position outside the natural. So I think it makes fake doubles and early timing pushes from Terran particularly strong, because if you can get tanks outside that natural, it becomes so much harder for Protoss to actually break out and get the map control that they need. But this is really nice, this Zealot moving across the map right now. Good micro from Mong, just pulling back that Marine just in time, and the RNG gods are with him, or that SCV just happens to walk into dev space right at the right time. But the block on the ramp is good, and I don't think the Zealot's going to get any significant damage done. Is Mong a god? Hello? Hello? Is Mong a god? He didn't lose anything in that? Are you kidding me? That's actually insane that Mong actually managed to keep that Zealot out of his main and lose absolutely 0 units. That's actually insane. But Rain pulling a couple of probes off of gas. Looks like he's going to be going into that expansion now that his initial aggression has failed. And especially when you see the gasless fast expand, you really have to start accelerating your economy to catch up, because if you go against that one base expansion and you don't have the economy to back that up, you can get outclassed pretty quickly. I think he's a bit surprised because we've generally seen the tanks coming out pretty soon. Ooh, Proxy Factory! This is going to be interesting. I wonder if this is actually going to be vulture drops. This feels like a vulture drop play. When you build the factory down there, you can build a starport right next to it, and just go ahead and float the vultures right behind
자, 투드라 정면에서 압박을 하고 있는 정윤종 선수입니다.
right behind the Dragoons that normally be there. But the problem is, he didn't build a factory in his base, as far as I know. Oh, no, he did. It's the second factory. Sorry, ignore me, ignore me. But he is gonna have that siege tank coming out right now, so this is gonna be double factory. There is a possibility for something weird like a double factory push coming up, just massing a whole bunch of units, heading them up there, and then just going for a big push. But we'll have to see. It looks like he's actually just going to be making a scouting vulture that's just going to go into the natural and see what's going on. He may pull up one or two of them just to get more economic damage coming in. But the problem is this siege tank is not going to have siege mode for quite a while, and Mong is actually going to be losing a lot of resources repairing this bunker. He needs to pay attention. If he doesn't repair that bunker, he could actually just straight up lose. He needs to pay attention. Okay, looks like he's repairing it now. Whew. Scared me for a second. The Dragoons are going to come in and try to snipe this tank. Not going to happen. First two vultures are going to come in, but they're not going to get into the main, so good deal right there. They're going to put down a couple mines, which is going to prevent reinforcements from really doing this, but good surround there from Rain. Does a good job of just dealing with, just using probes to pull this back. And moment of inattention at the same time, the bunker goes down, so Mong actually loses those vultures. He loses the bunker at the front. He's actually going to lose a tank. This is not looking great for Mong, but he is going to be able to push this away for right now. Maybe the double factory play was a little too cute, but another vulture is in Rain's natural right now, so it's going to be able to do a little bit of harassment, and the units are still stuck in the main due to those earlier spider mines. It's just so annoying to deal with, and snipes another one of those Dragoons. Actually, I take that back. Mong is stabilized pretty nicely. Those spider mines up on the ramp have done such a really great job of just kind of zoning out any Dragoons that want to get up the ramp and try to deal with this. And with good Vulture Micro, he can kill every single one of these probes with the natural. Reaver's out right now. That was really good Micro there from Rain. Being able to soak up two of those spider mines without actually taking damage to that Reaver. Really good stuff. So, a little bit messy, a little bit sloppy from both players, but all kinds of stuff going on everywhere. And I think at this point, the game has almost equalized. I would give Rain a slight edge, but he is further behind in the economy, so he really has to get some damage done with this Reaver if he really wants to catch up, but Reavers are retarded, so okay, he gets a little bit of damage done there. I'm not gonna lie, every time I see like a Scarab go out, at this point I'm like not even excited. I know it's not gonna hit anything. I know it's gonna hit like one SCV or it's just gonna dud. You very rarely see like a really good Reaver hit. So but yeah, a lot of probes went down for Rain, and if Mong can just turtle on these bases, he'll be in pretty good shape. There was definitely a moment where Mong could have straight up lost the game, but the spider mines really did save him. Without those spider mines guarding the main ramp, I think that Mong would be in a pretty bad spot right now. And there goes the Reaver, just gets insta-popped by that siege tank. That's why you put siege tanks near your mineral lines. At this point, Mong actually does have an attack timing. He can honestly just move across the map with the units he has right now. And there's not really much that Rain can do about it. He's going to take the third though. He's going to be a little bit safer and just control this ridge instead, which I think is a pretty smart move. You don't really need to go for the throat or be overly aggressive here. You have a huge advantage. You might as well just take the third earlier, focus on your upgrades, and just get that 200 death ball of mech units.
야, 지금 꺾일 생각을 안 하고 있어. 이러면서 팩토리 3개 늘려주면서
앞마당에 스타포트 지은 것 같죠? 앞마당에.
스타포트와 이제 사이언스
Meanwhile, Starport's going up. Probably going to be seeing a couple of science vessels to deal with any arbiters that come out in the future.
자, 날렵했는데 이건 아무것도 못했고요 일단은.
Maybe
자,
even a
이러면서,
dropship for
자,
some
언덕 지역에 자리 잡고
vulture
이쪽에서
harassment.
마인으로
I
시선만
think it's
밝히면서
undervalued in the
이
mid
마인이
game.
제거되면 이 병력을
Not enough
계속
Terran
수비를
players
합니다. 하지만 그
do vulture
전까지는
drops
이 골목을
or
지키겠다는
Goliath
의지를
drops.
보여주고
That's
있는
where it's at.
몽군입니다.
Goliath
리버의
drops.
활약을 못했기 때문에
Oh,
지금은
God.
약간 옵저버로 테란의 빌드를 제때제때 확인하면서
So not Jungbi, Rain taking his third right now, and doing a pretty good job of catching up in the economy. I like that he went ahead and went for the risk of taking that early third nexus before he was actually prepared to defend it, and it's starting to pay off because he's actually gonna catch up in his mineral saturation and have a decent economy. The only problem is that his tech is going to be quite a bit later, and there's still an opening for Mong to just move across the map and kill his opponent before he gets the critical mass of units out. But we'll have to see. I think we saw Arbiter Tech coming out right now, and I would agree with Arbiter Tech. Although carriers do seem like they might be decent on this map, especially when you're in this particular economic situation. But good missile turret placement is going to be able to push away that Reaver for now. Meanwhile, a couple more of these spider mines going down towards the bottom, just getting vision for Mong, just keeping tabs on where the Protoss army might be.
자, 그래서 벌써 또 돌아가가지고 한 기, 두 기, 세 기까지 잡아주고요.
More probes going down. It's unfortunate to have more economic damage coming in, especially with such small number of vultures. If there's anything that we've seen in this series so far, it's that Mong gets a lot done with very small numbers of vultures. Like in last game, at the very beginning of the game, we just saw one or two vultures walk in, like one by one. They just cruise in, pick off like 2 or 3 probes, lay a couple mines. It's so annoying to deal with as a Protoss player, but those small advantages eventually add up. 4th base going down for Rain. This is maybe a little greedy, but wow, Mong actually going for a 4th as well. So Mong he feels pretty comfortable in this game. You can tell that he doesn't feel any pressure from his opponent at all. He knows that he can just play it safe, wait for his upgrades, and go economy right now. Doesn't have to go super crazy on units. But I'm a little bit worried about Rain. It's kind of weird that he's expanding in this way toward the Terran player. This is not something that you normally see. Usually you would expand up the right side of the map and just split it vertically, but very interesting from Rain to go for this kind of different split. Allows him to get a better concave if the army tries to attack into his 3rd or his 4th. So cool, smart way to play. Upgrades halfway done for Mong. He'll probably have +2/+1 coming up pretty soon, which lends itself to a really strong timing once he gets up to about 170 supply. A little bit more of this Reaver drop harass coming in, but it's kind of stuck in here for right now. There's not really any place to go with the shuttle right now, and it's going to get sniped by that last Goliath. Unfortunate, but again, like I said before, the goal of Reaver drops isn't necessarily to do economic damage. Economic damage is nice, but if you can keep your opponent pinned back and by, you know, a minute or 2 of time, it's still worth it to do Reaver drops, as long as you're continuing to build up behind it. But only +1 for Rain right now. He's got his Arbiter Tech out right now and a couple of High Templar. It's pretty interesting that more and more players are mixing in early High Templar. I think it's a bit of an interesting trend. It allows for crazy stuff like storm drops in the middle of a fight while you're forcing the Terran to siege and unsiege and use their APM elsewhere. You can start doing storm drops and get big economic damage while they're distracted.
거침없이 가고 있어요.
stuff like that, or it just helps if the Terran player isn't very careful about pushing out.
아니 템플러가 있긴 한데
This is
병력
a fairly decently sized Protoss army, but
정용이 그렇게 많아 보이진
there's a
않아요,
pretty
일단은.
big mech army outside as well, and they do have that +2/+1. Lots of zealots coming in right now, but Mong, if I know Mong, he's got a ton of vultures. Mong loves getting vultures. He'll usually get, you know, like at least 20 vultures into his mech army. It's actually insane how many vultures Mong tends to get. But here comes the push. It's coming across the map right now. Slow and steady with the missile turrets coming from behind. So very nicely done by Mong so far. But here comes the big fight. Rain's gonna come in here. Good storms going down on top of the vultures, but he really needs to get those on top of the tanks. The first wave has been cleaned up, but honestly, that really wasn't a very good trade for Rain. He traded a bunch of gateway units for a bunch of vultures, and vultures are expendable. As a mech army, you don't really care if you lose vultures because all that matters is the siege tank and the tank count. Tank count has not really been dented, and Mong is just going to move straight up into this base. There's not really anything to defend here. This is a very paltry force, and again, there's absolutely no concave of any kind. The Protoss army is going to be reliant on pushing head-on into a mech army, and that's never going to work. EMP for good measure, but looks like Rain is super dead. There's the GG. And Mong is a god.
몽군이 잡아내면서 3대 0으로 앞서가는 팀 윤찬입니다. 와.
Mong is the TVP god. This is kind of the theme that we had going in ASL 3 as well, where over and over we're like, oh, Mong, he's not that good of a player. He's just decent. He's whatever. But then every single TVP that he played was actually pretty insane. So, in the words of Flash for the Win, don't sleep on Mong's TVP. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
와.
I think the Korean casters are quite surprised as well. They weren't expecting Mong to be this good. How is Mong so good? What the heck?
저희한테 쏜 겁니까?
아닌가?
아니 저희
Craziness.
예?
Oh, I can probably take my face down.
아이고
since we have their
연율장님
face now.
또 누구예요? 네, 반갑습니다. 감사합니다. 또 안 터지는 중계 방송에서 또 감사합니다.
So
마지막 주자.
the last hope for Team Best is going to be Hyuk.
사실 박재욱 선수가 현역 시절에
Arguably the weakest player on their team.
그런 역량이나 능력을 가지고 있다면
Not sure how this is going to work.
기대해 볼 만한데
박재혁 선수도
최근의 경기력 어떻습니까?
근데 최근에 그 박재혁 선수가 잠재력이 굉장히 있고 평소에 잘하는 선수인데
예.
제가 알기로 요즘에 스타를 잘 안 한다고. 그리고 그게 아니라 근데 제가 제대로 아는 건지는 모르겠는데 그 공익 활동 하고 계시지 않나요? 근데 허락 받고 이제
그렇죠. 영리 활동 없이 하는 건데 근데 사실은 이제 박재욱 선수가 현역 시절에 저그전과 토스전을 굉장히 잘했지.
맞아요.
테란전은 좀 현역 시절도 좀
I have no idea what they're talking about.
그에 반면에 몽구는
I'm just drinking coffee.
원래 조금
I've had like 3 cups of coffee. Eventually it's gonna kick in, right?
저그전 잘했어.
Eventually.
그렇기 때문에 지금 기세가 오를 대로 오른 윤찬이 한번 올킬 각이 나올 것인지.
박재혁 선수가 제대했다고.
하지만 박재혁 선수가 만약에 몽구 선수를 이긴다면
그럼요.
남아있는 선수가
충분히 해낼 수
김정우,
있습니다.
조병세, 장윤철 그러니까 토스 남아있거든요. 조병세 선수는 저거는 약한 테란이고요.
그럼요.
그렇기
I think
때문에
it's gonna be another all kill, guys.
한번
I'm so sad that we don't get to see. I really wanted to watch Crossing Field and Uzi Sara, but we just no one's getting to the 6th and 7th sets. And I don't know if we're gonna see Uzi Sara at all in this tournament, honestly. So far, the way that the tournament has been going, it's just been all kills or almost all kills every single match. Looks like we're gonna be going in the next game though. Alright,
초반에
game
옥점을
4,
해주고
Mong versus
방송
Hyuk
세팅을 좀
on
경기
Salamander.
시작됐습니다. 어떻게 보면 마지막 세트가
Maybe
될
my
수도
body isn't
있는
being the coffee.
경기거든요.
It could be. Fun fact, TT1, in Europe, all coffee is espresso. So when I went there last year, and all the machines had espresso, I was like in heaven. I was like, this is beautiful. Like you could get free espresso. It's like the weirdest thing that's ever happened because Americans are so used to horrible coffee. It'll be, anyways, this is going to be on Salamander. This is our one of our new maps in the map pool. I really love this. What is this? Is this the core hall tile set? I really love the desert tile set. It looks really cool. It's very different visually from a lot of the other maps. So I really like this map just visually, and I think it's one of the cooler layouts. As well as kind of got a swirliness to it. You know, a swirliness. I think, let me just check. I don't mind, there is an overview on the Wikipedia. RIP. I think it has kind of an interesting layout, if I remember correctly. It's hard to tell because I've just seen this on streams. I haven't really paid too much attention to the layout of the map. But anyways, we're gonna have a ZVT, arguably the hardest matchup for Zerg right now. Zerg's having a lot of trouble against Terran. The only one that I know of that has decent success on a regular basis is Larva, but even then it's like a 50-50. Either he like completely trashes Flash and Last, or he gets completely trashed, one or the other. In fact, the other day I actually cast Flash beating up Effort 4-0 in a stream series. It was actually really sad. Is this a sneaky barracks?
Wow.
Is that a sneaky barracks? Hyuk just going pretty standard. He's gonna be going for that 12 hatch. Likely we're gonna see 3 hatch Mutalisks coming out. Would be surprised to see something else. Something that some Zergs have been doing more recently is, wait, is that a double racks? Ah. Wait, or was that a CC first? Oh, I'm retarded. That was a CC first. I was not paying attention. That would have been weird. Like in base double racks. Yeah, okay, that's a CC first. So. Okay, a little bit of trickery from Mong. I think when you're ahead at this point, you got nothing to lose. You're 3-0 up in the series. You might as well go CC first. Like your opponent's gonna go like a 9 pool in the most important match. Nah, not gonna happen. So, this drone just being really annoying. I might actually pick up this SCV. He's not paying attention, but we're gonna finish not very good with the moving shot there. Honestly, he could have killed that SCV if he'd been paying attention, but misclicks from Hyuk, not gonna get it. Anyhow, finishing up my thought from earlier, Zerg players recently have been doing, there's been like a new trend of going for Zergling speed first and just being really aggressive early on with the first 12 lings. I don't think we'll see that in this game, especially with the bunker going down. It's a lot more difficult to actually break the front or get any real damage done with that sort of play. So I think we're probably just going to see the Spire play coming in. But never mind, I was wrong. There comes the Zergling speed first. So definitely going to see more aggression coming out early on. And he's actually going to be going for the +1 carapace early on. This is such a cool build. I really love when Zerg players do this. This to me definitely says that Hyuk is not going to be going into the Spire. He's probably most definitely going to be going into the Lurkers. I could be totally wrong, we'll see. But we're going to be seeing the +1 carapace coming out, and a little bit later of a lair, which is going to result in Lurkers coming out. And what this does, it just allows Zerg to take a lot of map control early on and get those upgrades out early. so that
빠르게 미쳤죠.
normally
잘하면서 투베럭에서 마린
like
뽑고
2 to
있는
3
몽골.
groups of Marine Medic will actually just shred through Lurker plus Ling, but with the +1 upgrade it's not that bad, but that's so many Lings, holy crap. They're just gonna get a straight surround on this bunker. Oh my god.
좀더 가야 됩니다. 아, 4마리.
The bunker's gonna go down, and 2 of those Marines are already down. I think this has been hell for right now, but good positioning on these Lings can honestly cause so much trouble. And right now the natural's been breached, and 2 of those Marines out of position. They're gonna go down. There's not a lot of Marines left. Another bunker being built, and this SCV micro has to be perfect right now. I'm not sure if that puts Zerg in the lead. I think that's actually a loss for Zerg overall, because you trade a lot of Lings for very few kills. Ideally in that situation you want to kill off like 4 to 5 SCVs and as many Marines as possible, but 4 Marines is decent because it's going to slow down the first push, but it's not going to significantly damage the turn. And meanwhile you sacrifice maybe like 7-8 drones to do that push. 7-8 drones is a lot, especially when all of ZVT revolves around getting the max saturation with all those drones, and then moving into hive tech and just blasting out tons of units. So not a great position for Hyuk. The +1 is going to be finished soon. 5 racks are going up. And this is going to be a big scary push coming up pretty soon. Lurkers are being started right now. No third base coming up for Hyuk. He just can't afford it because he doesn't have the drone numbers. And like I said, the one fortunate thing about this is it delays this first push for quite a while. As much as Mong would love to move out of his base right now and just immediately counterattack, he doesn't have enough Marines. If he had 4 more Marines, he would immediately go to that natural for sure. But he's got to play safe. He's got to make sure that no Lings get into natural right now. I wonder if he is going to play the cute thing where he makes 2 fire bats as he's pushing out and just kind of holds position on his ramp. One of those fun things you can do against Ling heavy styles. But first Hydra's coming out right now. Lurkers are going to be morphing soon. And they're not going to be out early enough to contain the Terran player. So Mong is going to be able to get this force out on the map. And it's just going to be up to Hyuk to have really good positioning. Looks like Mong has stopped production on his barracks. He's going to make an early 3rd CC with only 1 group of Marine Medic. Ignore that, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear that. There are no Marauders in this game. The 3rd hat-trick is going up in the close position. Important to note, it's not in the top left position on that high ground. It's actually going to be in the close position, which makes sense to me when you're going heavy into Lurker Ling with the upgrades. You don't really need to have the faraway position. You're not trying to buy a bunch of time as the units are moving across the map. You just want to be able to easily pivot where your Lurkers are positioned and stop wherever Marine Medic is trying to push in. So not bad at all. +2 being started. The Queen's Nest Hive Inspire are going to be coming up pretty soon to round out the Zerg tech. And so far this is pretty good because it's allowed Hyuk to have just complete control of the map, and he's actually keeping up in the upgrades, which is going to be really nice as the Marine Marauder. The Marine Medic count grows higher. Just ignore. I'm so used to saying Marine Marauder. Oh god. But we are going to have a little bit more of a standard tech choice coming out from Mong. Recently, we've seen Flash go really heavily into the SK's turn style of follow-up +1 5 racks. So usually go for the double star port and start really heavily investing in science vessels early on. But Mong instead decided to go a little bit more traditional route, getting the 2 tanks and the first science vessel. He's actually going to push out with 3 tanks to the first science vessel, so very nice, strong push coming up for Mong, and it does really well against this particular style. When you go really heavily into the mid game, you have much later defilers to deal with this sort of push, and you have to rely really heavily on just kiting back with the lurkers and forcing the tanks to siege on siege over and over and over. Because once the tanks and the science vessel get to the natural, if you don't have the defilers up, you can't really stop it. But really good upgrades from Zerg. The really scary part is this upcoming push. There are, what, 3 groups of Marine mech. God, that is so much bio. With the 3 tanks and the science vessel coming across the map. And if at any point that army actually gets in position to siege the natural, it's going to be really scary to deal with because he doesn't have defilers out right now, and he just has to buy enough time to deal with it. And so the dance begins. He's going to actually do a really clever positioning here with the rest of his units, just trying to cut off reinforcements, trying to come in with a couple of lurkers and lings. This is actually really smart play as a Zerg player. I'm really impressed by him so far. But he's going to have to move these back. This is really, really good for Hyuk right now. He's buying the time that he needs by just playing tag with the Terran army. But he's got to keep up with it. He's got to make sure he's paying attention to where the Terran army is moving and making sure that he kites back properly with these lurkers. Not going to pick up the science vessel, so that's a little unfortunate. Meanwhile, what is the status on those defilers? The defiler mounts should be done by now. Consume should be in the works, but this is a little bit scary. But he's actually just going to try to break this. I don't think this is a good idea. Trying to scare it back, I guess. Mong is actually, he's going to push forward, and these lings aren't moving. Hyuk's not paying attention. He really needs to move out right now. And this is actually a great fight. These lings, these upgraded lings are so strong right now. Plus 2 lings. And lurkers coming in from behind, but they're a little bit late. They're going to be able to pick off at least one of these tanks, but not great positioning over there. They do have the high ground, so that's a nice little advantage. And this has been surprisingly well done by Hyuk. He's going to be able to push this back right now. More reinforcements coming across the map from Mong. Mong's not stopping that macro machine, and we still don't have the swarms out right now. Just imagine that fight 10 seconds later with the Dark Swarm. That would have been so much better. But first swarm's coming out right now. It's not going to be enough to push this back for right now. It just slows down the push, but yeah, this lurker is driving me crazy. This lurker hasn't moved all game. Man, cracklings are so damn good. Behind this, Hyuk is actually taking the top left expansion, which is definitely a boon to him if he can actually hold off this push and slow it down. But this is the scary point in the game where if the vessel count gets up, it becomes so hard to actually break this, because you're constantly trying to match the defilers with the science vessel count, and meanwhile continually trying to make lurkers and lings, and just balancing that larva and that gas perfectly. He finally moves the lurker. Yes! Yes! Game's over. We're good. So moving out again to push this army back. He's got a couple of swarms in here. Questionable first swarm. He could have put that a little bit further back. But so many fire bats. This is actually terrifying. So I don't even think that ultras will save him at this point, because that's so many fire bats. It's actually so scary. But good job getting this base actually up, and he's starting to get it saturated. He's got the gas up there. Once he gets to 4 gas, he'll be able to just launch out units nonstop and deal with this. But it's really going to come down to the macro of Hyuk. Does he have the macro to keep up with Mong? Mong is well known for his excellent macro. Oh, that was a beautiful... Oh my god! That was a beautiful play. Holy crap. So as long as he has units in position, Hyuk is definitely going to be able to hold this off. That was the most money plague on Earth. That's honestly, that probably saved Hyuk the game. So he can honestly just camp on top of this ramp with a couple of lurkers, and Bio can't break up that with 1 HP. Sorry, not gonna happen. Man, that was actually so good. I'm a little surprised that Mong is staying on bio for so long. Usually at this point, Terran has gone ahead and switched into the mech and just gone for the split map scenario. But Mong, I think Mong thought he could break this third base, and he didn't realize the fourth base was up until now. So he's going to continue to be going heavy on the bio, which bio tank vessel will do pretty well up to a certain point. But another really great plague on top of all these science vessels. I'm just going to be able to push it back. A lot of bio going down to just a couple of lings, but lots of vultures coming out right now. The vultures should probably be mining up that fourth base right now. The ultras are out. This is what I'm talking about. Once you have those 4 gases up, you can do whatever you want as a Zerg player. You can just continually blast out units for the rest of the game. It's actually a really great game, not gonna lie. I'm really impressed by the level of play of Hyuk. He's doing a really good job. But Mong going ahead and taking the high ground main up the top right, that's gonna allow him to build a second base and make an effective mech switch going into the late game. But cows are coming across the map right now, eating up a couple of those mines. That's not really what you want, but another plague, this one not quite as good, and this is a little bit of a messier push in right now. You really don't want to be pushing into tanks with just the Ultralists. Ultralists really aren't all that good on their own. You really need the Lings support behind it because Lings do all the damage. Cracklings are so scary. But another push going across the map, and it looks like Hyuk is actually pushing Terran back into his base. You have to be careful and don't leave with those Lings. If you leave with the Lings and lose all the Lings early, you're not going to have any firepower to follow up. It's so difficult because Lings move so fast, but good swarm. That's going to allow him to get right on top of this army. Another really good swarm. And it's being pushed back. A big Ling attack coming into this base. They're going to be able to pick off a lot of SCVs if they're not countered. And some surge coming across the map as well to pick off those science vessels. Really nice play from Hyuk. He's just continuing to send units across the map rallying. And it's really going to come down to, does he run out of money? Can he break this base? So far, he's doing a really good job. More and more Lings pouring across the map. He's going to be able to clean up these tanks and kill some of these SCVs up at this base. I actually think those 2 tank shots killed all of the Lings. So that's cleaned up for now, but really well played by Hyuk so far. He just wants to slow down the momentum of this mech army before it gets too big. And one Ultras is actually going to completely shut down mining at this base right now. So very strong play right now. I'd like to see a couple of Defilers get over to that base and just drop 1 swarm on top of the mineral line, and it just becomes a pain to ever clean that up. Hyuk putting down a couple of plagues, not the best, but he's actually going to kill this base. Oh my gosh, Mong forgot to lift off. Oh my. Well, that was bad. So Mong is actually on 4 bases versus a 4-base Zerg, and this is actually starting to get really scary for Mong. Mong, he may be able to stabilize off of these 3 bases, but he just doesn't have a lot of units left. And this is actually the entirety of his army. Where is Mong's army? So many SCVs are going down in that mineral line right now, and these cows are actually just going to be able to clean up the rest of the tanks. And I think at this point, Mong's actually broken. Did Hyuk do it? Did Hyuk beat the god? Beat the god? There's the GG! Mong finally forced the tap out, and we are actually going to more games. 3-1 in this series. Good job by Hyuk. Dang. Hyuk's so smart. That was actually, that was one of the better ZVTs that I've seen in a while. Hyuk just playing that really intelligently, having his units in the right place. The only, I think, major mistake that he made was trying to go in for that push right before he got the Defilers, right before he got the Swarm out. If he had just waited 10 more seconds and gone for that attack a little bit later, he would have completely destroyed that army, just completely wrecked it. So. But either way, it turned out really nicely. Cracklings with +2 care base, pretty good units. So looking forward to seeing Hyuk play another game. We'll have to see who's coming out in the next game.
진짜 몰라요. 진짜 몰라요. 박지혁 선수 저그전 진짜 잘하거든요. 저그전, 토스전. 그렇죠. 자, 다음 맵은
I would have liked to see, I think, maybe an earlier mech transition from Mong as well. Like I said, he stuck a little bit too long on the bio,
그렇죠. 아니면 아예
and
긴
even though he
점으로
had
나오면서
pretty good center map control, he just he
기본적으로
didn't get the mines out on the map early enough. And usually you have to mine up that far away base that you can go ahead and cut off some of those reinforcements while you transition to the mech. But also there is kind of the weird
어떤 선수가 나올지
kind of the weird effect of taking that close third is you're not cutting off as many reinforcements as you normally would. Normally when you make that mech switch, you mine up the fourth, like the low ground fourth base of the Zerg, and you essentially cut off 2 bases worth of reinforcements. Like they have to go through the Nidus Canal, and then it becomes much harder to actually flank because all of your units are coming from one location. But when you have the 3 bases close together like that, and you mine off the 4th base, that's an island, it's not quite as effective. So I wonder if the mistake is really just trying to go for that vulture transition at all. Maybe it doesn't work as well in that particular configuration.
보통 이런 상황을 보통 저희 같은 사람들은 많이 겪습니다. 그렇기 때문에
본인이 팀할 때는 누구한테 감독님
I love fast upgrades
보통
on
이제 명훈이한테 많이 물어봤죠.
Zerg. That was actually, it was so well played by Hyuk.
그다음에 이제 빈 공간을 이제 제가 좀 많이 차지했었죠. 아니 근데 못 차지할 때도 많았어요. 차지하는 것도 기분 좋은 거였어요.
그렇죠. 왜냐면 차지하는 거 자체가 일단 주전에는 끼는 거니까.
아 그럼요. 그 나가는 것 자체가 으쓱하거든요. 벤타고 경기장 갈 때.
Somebody said in chat, I am Mong is making such weird faces. I'm like, I don't know who I am Mong is. Just remember that's Gwinchi. I've been calling him Gwinchi ever since I started casting because that's what Flash for the Win told me to call him. So.
그다음 선수 조병세입니다.
역시.
Eventually we'll be moving to the next map. So we're waiting for Team Mong to figure out who they want to send out next. If we look at the rest of Team Mong, they've got Effort, Snow, and Sky High. All pretty decent players so far. If we want to go for a Zerg sniper, honestly. By the way, I love that the Genyuta is, he's like wearing like shorts, like pajama shorts, and then like the nice shirt with the tie. That's okay, I'm wearing swim trunks, but you can't see, guys. But if we're gonna send out somebody to snipe a Zerg player, honestly, I'd like to see Team Mong send out Effort and just go into the ZBZ, because Effort's ZBZ is honestly really good, and I think he could pretty easily take out Hyuk. I think he's the better Zerg player. It wouldn't be too hard for him to actually snipe him out, but they may decide to go for Snow, or maybe just a different approach to the ZBZ with Sky High.
조병세 선수 이미지가 준비되는 대로 경기를 시작하도록 하겠습니다. 자, 경기 어떻게 예상하십니까?
제가 봤을 때 조병세 선수가 큰 무대에 강하기 때문에 여기서 뭔가 끝낼 수도 있을 것 같다고 보는데, 방금 박재혁 선수의 그 특이한 운영 있지 않습니까? 보통 저그들이랑 좀 달랐잖아요.
그렇죠.
뭔가 여기서도 뭔가 자신만의 운영이 있을 것 같아요.
근데 사실 조병세 선수도 저그전 진짜 자기 스타일이 강하기로 유명한 선수거든요. 이 선수도 항상
It's a little bit longer to get into this game than it normally takes, but good thing is I'm on my 3.5 cup of coffee, officially out on my French press.
기대가 되고요. 자, 굉장히 재밌는 기대되는 경기.
It's finally starting to kick in. I can feel it. I'm starting to get more excited, more uppity.
자, 현재 스코어
Uppity is a
3대1이고요.
word, I swear.
이 경기를 끝내기 위해 몽군 팀에서는 박재혁 나왔고요. 도재욱 팀에서는 마지막 선수 박재혁 선수가 나왔습니다. 추천 절개짝 한번 눌러주시고 네 번째 경기 시작하도록 하겠습니다.
I'm actually kind of immune to coffee. Oh, looks like we are going to be going into game 4.
네, 현재 스코어 3대
All
1로
right, welcome to, sorry, set 5. I said game 4 at the
경기
beginning.
끝내기 위해 조병세
Welcome
마크,
to
맵은
set
글래디
5 of
어제 양팀
GTB.
진영 확인하도록 하겠습니다.
We're going to be having
조병세
Hyuk versus
5시 지역에 1시 지역에
who's that? Guys, tell me who that is. I don't know these Koreans
글래디에이터
by
맵을
face.
잠시 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다.
Oh, it's gonna be Sky High. Okay, Sky High. Wrong map. There we go. So we're gonna have Gladiator. This is a map that relies heavily on controlling the high ground area on all these spokes, and it kind of reminds me a lot of Heartbreak Ridge, where it's just all about controlling these high ground ridges and making sure you have the ability to get that high ground percentage miss on your opponent. It's really strong. We are going to be having that TVZ, like I said. Maybe they would try to go for something different with Sky High. I'm not particularly sure how good Sky High's TVZ is, but I think it's pretty good. He is going to be going for this barracks first, so the very aggressive play coming out from Sky High already. He's probably going to be going for a bit of a bunker rush early on. I don't think Hyuk is going to be going for that overpull. It looks like he is going to be going for the 12 hatch, and if Sky High scouts correctly first, he could definitely do some very serious damage, maybe even kill off the natural hatch. I'll have to see how well Hyuk plays, if he plays really intelligently. So here comes the 12 hatch so far. Unfortunately scouting in the wrong direction with his first overlord, but the drone shouldn't have too much of a problem finding out what's going on pretty early on. Very nice wall off there to prevent any sort of counterattacks from coming in. And the double SCV scout coming out from Sky High so he can find his opponent ASAPly. And he's going to find him immediately as soon as he passes the drone. And the first Marine is actually just going to come across the map straight away and going to be scouted as well. So Hyuk automatically knows what's coming. Hopefully he went for that 11 pull instead of the 13 pull. He's going to have to pull about 7 or 8 drones in order to deal with this. Looks like he's actually going to go for the 6 and then maybe add a couple more later on. Oh no, I was right. There's 8 drones. Look at that. Who knows their stuff? Who knows their ZVT? This guy. This guy. So 8 drones. Really nice job. This is one of those advantages of having the high ground like I was talking about earlier. When you have control of this high ground, you can definitely force some weird fights early on. But good maneuvering so far from Hyuk, just kind of warding away those units while he gets his spawning pool complete. But Sky High is actually going to continue to be aggressive. Good drone drill coming out, but unfortunately they went the wrong direction, and 2 of those 3 drones being picked off so far, and he really needs to bring those just back into his main. But he's going to try to be cute with this positioning. This is actually so cool to see right here with these Marines and the SCVs. Eventually it is going to get cleaned up, but Sky High doing a pretty good job taking the lead in the series. And he's actually, instead of going for that expansion, he's going to be going straight into the factory. This is such a specialized build coming out from Sky High. Not at all the standard macro build that you expect. There is a wall off here, so no links are actually going to be able to counterattack. They're going to get blocked off by this Marine, and no Overlord in sight. Hyuk has no way of knowing whether or not there's going to be an expansion there or whether this drop is coming. So Sky High could definitely just outright win the game with this Vulture drop. We'll have to see what goes on, but this is tense. It's going to be a pretty tense timing. Lag. Okay, we're good. Things dealing with this, but a little bit weird to just show your hand early. Sky High moves out with his first Vulture. It is going to be really annoying to deal with, and these drones are actually going to have to be pulled back to the ramp to deal with this. And a couple more drones are going to come down. That's really annoying.
뷰럽네요.
But at the very least, Hyuk knows what's going on now. He's not going to be caught completely off guard when a vulture drop comes into his base. And there's a very good chance that Sky High may just go directly into mech off of this instead of going for that bio. But at the same time, you can't be sure what turn is going to do at this point, because there are all kinds of weird one-base gas builds that you can do that can transition into either mech or bio. So it just depends on what sort of position we're going to find ourselves in shortly. But here comes the first Wraith, sort of a 1-1-1 all units build. Is this like the Terran version of the? Yeah. Oh dang! I totally forgot the name of that build. I'm gonna remember it later. I promise. The Protoss build where you make one of every unit. If you guys know in the chat, please let me know. But still just making, here comes the first dropship, and a really smart play by Hyuk, responding very nicely with these Hydros, just one Hydros in each mineral line to push this away right now. He's going to go ahead and get the range, just in case this goes into a mech build. It's really nice to just have that ahead of time. Wow, rushing the science facility. So we're actually going to see science vessels come out pretty early, or maybe even one base battle cruiser rush. The stove, yes, the stove. Thank you very much, Scaramanga. I could not remember that. I was like, is it the sink? Is it the bathtub? No, none of those things are right. It's the stove. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. So, first drop is going to be coming in right now. A couple of Hydros already in position. There's a very good chance that these vultures just run straight past and just get drone kills anyway. They're going to get two, at least one drone kill. So, only one drone kill off of that. That's not what you want to be doing at all. It's not a very good trade at this point in the game. Man, this is such a weird build. But from what I remember, I feel like Light did this not too long ago in the SSL Classic. So, and it worked out really, really nicely. So we'll just have to see how well this is going to work out for our Terran player here. It's such a weird build. I honestly don't see this enough, so I don't really know what we're gonna be seeing. I don't know what the Terran player, the next transition is gonna be, etc., etc. But another drop coming in here. Gonna try again to go for this, and no defenses in here this time. So, oh, never mind. I take it back. A couple Hydros, kind of mosey their way up, and Spire's now finished, so Scourge are going to completely shut down this drop play, completely shut down this Wraith harass. So very nicely played by Hyuk so far. He's just been very defensive, taking this third comfortably, and it is going to be the bio transition for Sky High. So this is basically what this opening has done is it has forced the Zerg player to take a third base much more slowly and kind of screwed up the normal tech that you would go for as the Zerg player. So it's not quite as clean as it would normally be. You've forced the Zerg player to make a bunch of Hydras, and the Zerg player actually can't scout into your base because you have that one Wraith. So it really just depends. I don't know if Hyuk even knows what his opponent is going to be doing. He really needs to send a Scourge just to fly in there. Excuse me. Just to fly into the Terran base and just see what's up. But we are going to be going into Lurker tech. So very nice pivot for overmaking these Hydras. He can go into the Lurkers and just go Lurkerling off of this. So very nicely done so far by Hyuk. Again, Hyuk just really impressed me with his decision making. Just playing very smart and responding to his opponent appropriately. There is a certain attack timing that's coming out with a whole bunch of tanks, these science vessels, and some marine medic. And it comes a lot earlier than you would think. because the Zerg tech has been slowed down for quite a while, it basically means that defilers are not going to be out, and this is going to rely entirely on just really good lurker ling surrounds. So we'll have to see how well this goes. I think this is one of the better maps for it though, because if you move out pretty early with those lurkers, you can delay for a long time using these high ground ridges. But it looks like Sky High is going to be moving out right now. He's made his last round of bio, and he's going to be pushing out with almost full energy science vessels. These scary high energy. So it just really comes down to good positioning on the Zerg part and being smart with how he's moving his units around. But a couple of Scourge out here and just try to snipe any science vessels that are out of position. And Sky High is actually going to be taking it a little bit more slowly. It looks like he might actually take a third behind this before pushing out. We'll have to see. Lots of lurkers coming out, and this means that the hive is going to be really late. It's going to be rely entirely on just huge Ling lurker numbers, which, as we saw in last game, worked quite well for Hyuk. Hyuk is pretty good at this particular style, so we'll have to see if he can hold this off, if he can slowly kite back these siege tanks properly. It's going to be pretty tense the next couple of minutes. So Sky High moving out right now. And it looks like Hyuk's actually just going to go for a big counterattack. This is very interesting, or at least he's just going to go for the big flank. And this is it. Units coming in from the front, units coming in from the back, and these lurkers get right on top of the bio, but I'm not sure if it's enough. I didn't see what happened in the back, but it looks like all of the lurkers just die off immediately, and all of the Hydras going down. I think that's pretty much it. A lot lost for Hyuk there. A ton of gas invested into those lurkers, and they just died instantly. Not enough lings to soak up those shots, and Sky High is going to be able to push in here. As soon as Sky High gets control of this ridge, the game is practically over. There's no way that Zerg can actually come back. And that D-Matrix, oh, what a cute play. Sky High just showing off just really intelligent play and cute little micro tricks here and there. There's the GG, 4-1 in this series for Team Mong. Sky High just playing a very technical, very clever game. I liked it. That was a really cool strategy. And despite Hyuk playing so well in the previous game as well, just that last attack was just botched a little bit. Not quite spreading his lings out properly, not getting the lurkers in the correct position, so a little unfortunate, but overall I think this was a pretty good match. Yeah, it was so many tanks. It's so interesting. Like I said, the biggest problem is when you get into that situation where your tech is so late compared to the Terrans, you have to wonder, what do I do as a Zerg player? Because you end up in a really weird situation where you don't have a lot of tech. You're relying entirely on just having a lot of units early on, and it's honestly a little bit daunting to be put in that situation as a Zerg player because you're not used to it. It's a very uncomfortable position. Timings aren't quite as crisp as, you know, something like 3-hatch. Oh, I guess they're calling the winner.
아, 윤찬희 선수 일단은 4강 진출 축하드립니다. 성화 한 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다. 일단 윤찬희 선수.
I love that they're calling him on his cell phone.
목소리 좀만 더 크게 해주세요.
Oh my gosh.
네네.
But I think that's pretty much going to conclude the English
윤찬희
cast.
선수 그 사실 경기 시작 전에 표정이 굉장히 안 좋았는데.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm sorry I was a little bit late today and missed the first game. I just couldn't do time zone math very well, so. But I will definitely be on time for the next cast. The next cast is going to be on Friday. The next cast is going to be on Friday. That one's going to be at 1900 KST, which is 6 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time in the US, so I'll definitely be there for that. I was just a little bit late today. If you guys want more information on the event, you can always go to teamliquid.net for all the information you need about the tournament. Posted in the chat for you guys. And if that's only, I guess that's the last week, or are we continuing to play more? I'm not sure. I'll be sad if this is all the matches we get to see, but I suppose there's a limited amount of money. So, but I'm hoping that Team Flash versus Team Stock goes all the way to the ace match, because I'm really looking forward to seeing Uzi Sara. I really want to see that in competitive play. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one later.
원팩 이후에 원스타 이후에 투팩을 올리면서 벌처로 정신 못 차리게 흔들면서 게임을 끝내버렸고요.
휘몰아쳤죠.
그렇죠. 두 번째 경기는요?
두 번째 경기는 몬테크리스토에서 허영무 선수가 생더블로 굉장히 부유하게 출발했는데
그렇죠.
오직 운영으로만 완벽한 운영으로 역전승에 성공했고요.
그렇죠.
그다음에 세 번째 아즈텍.
아즈텍에서는 이제 정윤존 선수가 요새 푸항이란 별명을 들고 있었지만 윤찬희 선수가
Now I know it's over. I see you passing by, hand in hand, with your perfect light. My body goes numb, feels like someone cut out my tongue. I didn't know a heart could die this young. Oh, now when I look in your eyes, I feel paralyzed.